Howdy y'all, we're going to do a little list building today. I wanted to take a look at an old list I had before the new Battle Tome came out, it was a 1-drop with 4 Carnosaurs in it. So we can't really do a 1-drop with 4 Carnosaurs anymore, but I think there's some fun stuff we can do with the Carnosaurs. As you've seen in previous videos, the Carnosaurs can be pretty good. They can do a lot of damage, and so what better way than to put 4 of them into a list. Alright, so we're going to start off, we're going to run through the sub-factions and allegiance abilities, just in case you haven't seen those, or if you're new to Seraphon, or if you're just thinking, this sounds like a fun list, I want to build it, what's it all about? So, Seraphon has a couple of interesting abilities that make it pretty good. And we're going to start here, run through this, and then we'll look at the actual list. So in Seraphon, you choose either Starborn or Coalesced. In this case, we're going to pick Coalesced, and we'll show some abilities that come with that here in a minute. In your hero phase, you can pick one friendly Slon and replace a spell they know. So this makes the Slons, or Kroak, who's also a Slon, able to kind of multitask and pick different spells, and those will actually be pretty good for this army, as he has some healing winds, some that make him fly, things like that. But also some ways to deal with hordes, which I always like taking. Sacred Astrums. So this is one of my favorite things about Seraphon, is this ability right here. It used to be that the Slon could attempt to change it. If he died, it was gone. Here, this ability is always there. In your hero phase, you get to pick one of these to apply to your army until the next hero phase. The Great Drake. Now this one I really like in this 4 Carnosaur list. In the combat phase, pick one friendly Seraphon hero. Until the end of that phase, you can add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons used by that hero. So in combat, if you have this Astrum going, you can pick a hero and give him +1 to all his attacks. This isn't just the hero's attacks, this is the mount also. So this is pretty awesome, especially when you're talking about a Carnosaur who has a very, very bitey jaw. So he can do a lot of damage with that, especially when you're adding 1 to it for free. I mean, it's their faction ability, so it comes with the army. So that's a very good one. It does say in the combat phase, so you can also select a different hero in the enemy's combat phase. So that's kind of nice. Hunter Steed, add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls for friendly Seraphon units. So this is good if you're trying to get across the board quick. If you really need to make a charge, flip it over to this one. The Sage's Staff in the hero phase, pick 1 friendly Seraphon wizard, add 1 to casting and dispelling roll for that wizard. So you can really pump up your Kroak or your Slon in this list with this. If you really need to get off some spells, they got a support hero you really need to kill with his Comet, pop that on it. This one, in this list, I'm looking a lot towards that Great Drake. I want the extra attacks on my Carnosaurs. All right, so we're going Coalesced. So what does Coalesced give us? Coalesced, we can either do the Koatl's Claw or Thunder Lizard keyword for those in Coalesced, and we're going to end up taking Koatl's Claw. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Cold-blooded, ignore modifiers for bravery. Not a huge deal unless you're facing a bravery modifier army, which there's not too many of those. Predatory Fighters, add 1 to the attack characteristics of jaw weapons. So this one's an important one to remember. So Carnosaurs have jaws, so we're going to add 1 to their jaw attacks for those. But also we're going to take some Knights in this list, and they have 2 different jaw attacks. So we're already adding on more and more attacks. And this comes in big when you have the Great Drake on a hero, so you're getting +1 to all his attacks, including his jaws. And then in Coalesced, we have an extra jaw attack, so it gets him even better. Primeval Domain. If a terrain feature, if you do terrain stuff, I don't really play with terrain stuff very much, but this helps you kind of ignore the negative terrain features in your part of the board. Scaly Skin. Subtract 1 from damage inflicted by each successful attack that targets a Coalesced unit to a minimum of 1. This is pretty awesome. This makes our Carnosaurs pretty tough. Now, it doesn't work against mortals, per the FAQ, but shots, missile weapons, melee weapons, all are -1 damage to a minimum of 1, which is it's awesome if you're going up against something that has 2 damage attacks. You're just halving it. So makes our guys a lot tougher here. Since we're taking Koatl's Claw, let's look at those abilities here real quick as a refresher. So Savagery Incarnate. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Koatl's Claw Saurus units that make a charge move in the same turn. So here is just an innate +1 to the hit rolls when they're charging. And we really need this for our big dinos because their hits aren't the best, but also for the Knights because the Knights have a lot of attacks, and this will make them quite a bit better getting that +1 to hit. If for some reason you get stuck in combat and you can't make the charge, we've got a command ability for that. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do, pick 1 friendly Koatl's Claw Saurus unit wholly within 24 of the friendly hero. That unit counts as having made a charge move in that turn for the purposes of that Savagery Incarnate. So you can't stack this on top of Savagery Incarnate, but if you can't make a charge for some reason, you're stuck in combat, here's a command ability that basically gives you a +1 to hit. So pretty nice. Command trait for our Saurus General. He's going to have to take Dominant Predator. Roll a dice each time this general is used to issue a command to a friendly Koatl's Claw Saurus unit. On a 4-up, you receive 1 extra command point. So here is how we're going to be generating our extra command points. Our Slon or Kroak is going to give us some command points. Our Battalion is going to give us 1. We're going to start with 1. We're going to get 1 from our turn, and then hopefully we're going to start getting them back when we're using them from our general. Artifact of Power. Pick 1 bears melee weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with that weapon is 6, that attack inflicts 2 mortal wounds on the target in addition to any normal damage. So we want to give this to a hero that has a lot of attacks from the weapon. So we're going to end up giving this to a Saurus Veteran on Carnosaur and give him the War Spear because it has a lot of attacks. So those are our abilities that we're going to have. We're also going to take the Firelance Temple-host in this one. And so in the Coalesced version of this battalion, we're taking 1 Scar Veteran, 3 Saurus Knights units, and this adds 3 to our run and charge rolls for units that are wholly within 18 of the Scar Veteran. So that's pretty nice. +3 to our run and charge. And remember, if we have the Astrum, we can flip it over. If we really need to make a charge, we can add 1 to our run and charge rolls. So we can actually get a +4 to our charges for these Knights, and they re-roll their charges based on their War Scroll. So that's pretty nice. You're gonna have some good charging units. You should be able to get in those charges, which will proc the ability that gives them that +1 to hit for free. So that's kind of nice. So let's look at what the list is going to look like. Here we're taking Seraphon, obviously, Constellation, Koatl's Claw inside Coalesced, and Mortal Realm of Hysh. So we're going to have, our first hero is going to be Lord Kroak because he goes in every single one of my lists. If you're not focusing on him, he might not make the return on value at 320 as if you're taking like endless spells and all this kind of stuff. But in this list, he's purely there just to generate command points and do a few mortals with his spell. So he's probably not going to do a ton of damage, but he's going to hopefully sit there and generate us some command points, kind of control the magic phase, get those unbinds if you need them. But he's not really going to be doing a whole lot of spell casting and, stuff that you normally see from your Kroak. Casting out endless spells and getting on top of a Balewind and a banner guy and all that kind of stuff. But we need those command points. So he gets to roll 3 dice, and on 4-ups, he gives you an extra command point. So you're looking for extra command points from him all game because this army is going to be command point hungry. Our general is going to be the Oldblood on Carnosaur, and he's going to take the command trait Dominant Predator because he has to, but it's also a great one because on a 4-up, we get a command point back. So we're already getting Kroak. That's going to be hopefully generating extra command points, and then anytime the Saurus Oldblood spends 1 on a 4-up, he gets it back. My next hero is going to be a Saurus Scar Veteran on Carnosaur. He's going to take a War Spear with that artifact from Koatl's Claw. So he's hopefully going to be hitting those 6s to hit and doing 2 mortals for each one of those in addition to his normal damage. So this guy can do some mortals. That's kind of nice. Send him at something if you need some mortals through. My next one is going to be another Scar Veteran on Carnosaur, War Spear, and I'm going to give him the Aetherquartz Brooch. You can go some different ways, if you want to get crazy and put a Sword of Judgment on one of these guys. That's pretty good. Then you'd have 2 guys with War Spears that can put out some pretty nasty mortals. But I like the Aetherquartz Brooch because this list is so hungry for command points. I'm going to be spending command points like crazy in this list. And the Aetherquartz Brooch gives me another 5 up, give me back my command points. So Lord Kroak's going to give me up to 3 each turn. And then the Saurus Oldblood should give me 1 back on a 4 up each time he spends it. And then another chance at a 5 up, giving it back to me from the Aetherquartz Brooch. So if the dice go your way, you're gonna be generating a ton of command points. And then the 4th Carnosaur, I'm just taking another Scar Veteran on Carnosaur. To me, at only 210, I think they're worth. I like the Scar Veterans just as much as the Oldblood. That extra 40 points, you will see here in a minute. It helps me get a Balewind for Kroak. But you could drop that Balewind if you want to upgrade him to an Oldblood. Oldblood does a little bit more damage. He's got a shooting attack, and you can have a different command ability you can have. But these guys, I like having an Oldblood and a Scarvet paired together, and so it might not be a bad idea to switch one of those and upgrade one to an Oldblood because their command points work real good in tandem together. So you spend 1 command point from the Oldblood and 1 from the Scarvet for their abilities, and you're going to be generating a whole bunch of command points. So you get +1 from the Oldblood to their hits, so you can add that on top of what they're getting if they charge. And then on 6s, all the hits explode via the Scar Veteran's command point. And so that includes Jaws. So you're already pumping up these guys' Jaw attacks, and then they can explode into even more Jaw attacks from the Scar Veteran. So I really love that Scar Veteran's command ability. Sometimes that's why I would run 3, just so I can always make sure I have that thing to proc onto the Knights as well. So let's look at our battle line here. Battle line, I'm going to do 10 Knights, both with Lances, and then another 5 Knights to fill out the battalion, because you do have to have 3 units of Knights in the battalion to finish off that battalion. So, and then I'm going to take another 5 Saurus Guard for my Kroak. They're just gonna be there to soak up wounds, a few extra bodies to hold an objective if I need to, but primarily there just to soak up some wounds from Kroak so he can stay alive a little bit longer to generate command points. I do have a Balewind Vortex on this, and that's for Kroak to get up on. Gives him a little bit more range. He's probably not gonna be in range for much with his spammable spell, but it increases his save, and it was only 40 points. You can switch that out for any other endless spell if you need to, or you can upgrade a Scar Veteran to an Oldblood if you want to run the 2 power pairs there. I've also bought an extra command point in this list. So since I have a battalion and I'm buying an extra command point, I'll have 2 in my pocket as the game starts, and then my first turn I should have 3. And then I'll have another 3 possibly from Kroak, and then returning them on a 4 up and a 5 up. So you should be able to generate a lot of command points, and you're going to be spending them. You're going to be spending them a lot in this list, but it's a fun list. So in my mind, this is a list where it's all cavalry. You're charging ahead with a bunch of dinosaurs, riding dinosaurs, and you're going for it. It's probably not a super competitive list, but I love it. It's great seeing that many Knights and Carnosaurs on the table. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Knights can throw a ton of dice. If you look back at the previous video on Knights, you can pump these guys up to do quite a few hits, and they can do some serious damage. And it's not bad. They've got 2 wounds each, and so they can be pretty tough here in Coalesced and Koatl's Claw. So I like that. Let's take a look a second. This would total. We do have, let's see, how many drops that'd be. 1 from Kroak, 2 from him, 3 from the battalion, 4, 5, and then the guard would be 6. So it'd be 6 drops for this list. So not bad. You could outdrop a couple people, but honestly, you don't have too much to alpha strike with in this list. So hopefully you can go second, get it be a little bit closer, and then pop off that +4 to charge. Let's look at deployment, just see what it looks like on the table. I just like to see it on the table. So let's see what that looks like. All right, here we go. Trusty tabletop simulator here. So we got our lineup here, and And I'm hoping that we get the Realm Shaper engine on our side. If not, it's just going to be an impediment to them. I'm going to do the strategy of hiding my Kroak back here behind it. You can even put them all the way in the corner if you want to, just to make it really hard to charge. But I think over here he's a little bit safer from getting ambushed from the side. And I'll probably block off some from that extra unit of 5 Saurus Warriors. But basically what you're looking at is your two main power groups of Saurus. So you've got your Oldblood and your Scar Veteran with a unit of 10 Knights. If they want to Alpha Strike this, be my guest, because what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up eating 2 Carnosaurs in their turn. So if they feel like Alpha Striking these Knights, it's going to take quite a bit to remove those Knights in this list, especially in Coalesced. And then you'll be able to fight back with 2 Carnosaurs, which should munch up just about whatever you want. But in this, you should be able to send these guys, to whatever objective you need to. So if you're sending them up somewhere, you can. They can operate independently. They can both go grab objectives. Or if you need to send off a Carnosaur on his own, you can. And these guys here, if they need to swing over, capture an objective, or stay back and guard Kroak from any kind of Alpha Strike or Deep Strike or ambush, they can. But it should be a lot of fun. You're not going to be clearing all the way across the board with these guys. They just can't do that. They're just not built for that. They're pretty slow cavalry. But once these guys get about here, you're gonna have a pretty sweet charge with all these guys. Especially if you're popping off that +4 to charge, you're gonna get in pretty nice. So I don't know. That's kind of how I might see a deployment going. A lot of big dinos on this list, and Carnos are just great looking models. They're just fun. Everybody loves a Carnosaur. They're a lot of fun. So what do you think? Anybody else running 4 Carnosaurs? Do you have 4 Carnosaurs? I'm working on my last one right now, so I can actually field it on the table. But they're a lot of fun. And maybe it won't frustrate your friends as much as seeing 120 skinks on the table, shooting mortals and doing all this kind of stuff. If you're tired of beating your friends, maybe play this list. It'll be a little bit more fun, I think. So, all right, 4 Carnosaurs. Get it.